Good evening. The chains change. And tonight we're going to talk about socialism and Marxism and the difference between socialism, Marxism, and Californiaism, because I think you should throw an ism at the end of California, because it feels like they are on the cutting edge of trying to go a little socialistic, if that's a word. Socialist? Go a little socialist? I have trouble talking sometimes when I open my mouth. They're trying to amend the Constitution out there, and it's a healthcare thing. Of course, it's always a healthcare thing. That's the start. Because it sounds great. It sounds great. You know, some people can't afford health care. Well, okay, then we can help them. But then you start getting into, we need to cover everything, and there cannot be any other insurances, only state run insurances. And we all know, I mean, I know. And when I say we all, I mean me. I know that anything the state mandates, anytime they get rid of everything but the state issue, it's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Obamacare screwed up the insurance scope in the United States. They, that put people out of work. Believe it or not, Obamacare put insurance providers out of work. When you start mandating a certain thing, it obviously has a lot of people that sign up for it. And then you have doctors that won't take it because they're invested in an insurance company. And then it just messes with the whole system, man. There's got to be private versions. If we had private people in front of my house, the city employees, it's been about a week ago now. See, I've done blacktop, I've done concrete, I've built houses, I've built warehouses, I've built skyscrapers, I've built roller coasters. So I've laid pipe, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but I have dug a trench, put a piece of pipe in it, and connected it to some kind of sewage or gas or whatever you need put below the frost line. I've put it in. It's not brain busting work, it's back breaking work. Especially if you're the guy down in the hole with the shovel saying, we need to go down another foot. But it usually helps if you've got an excavator on hand, but sometimes you don't. But these guys are city workers out here, city workers. And they busted up the ground. I heard them out there working about a week ago. And then they slapped one of those metal plates over it, which I get it. Like you move on to the next job. But I knew when they slapped that metal grate on there. See, cutting into pavement. You take a saw, you cut a square out, jackhammer it out, or even hit it with a sledge. If you got somebody who can swing a sledgehammer, or if you've got an excavator, then dig it out in one scoop. Now it's gone. Now you dig a hole. You get down to the main or whatever you have to fix. I haven't questioned them or anything such as that. But I knew when they put the metal plate on it. I knew it. I knew it was going to be a month. A month to dig down 4 feet and do whatever they're doing down there. They've got the hole is 3 foot by 3 foot. So they're not doing any giant project. They're doing something basic, and it's not anything emergency, or they would have fixed it immediately. But now that's going to have that metal plate there, and every time a car goes, boom, 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 boom. And you can imagine at 5 p.m. Shakes the whole house. And it's the city workers. I'm not hating on city workers. That's not the point. The point is it's funded by the city. The bosses are in no hurry to do anything. They're stretched thin, but they are in no hurry to get any job done because then they got to go do something else. Now, if you had a man, my brother-in-law runs a paving company. If it took his guys longer than a half a day to do that job, somebody's getting reamed, including me if I was the one doing it. I'd be the one doing the reaming if I was foremaning them. When you have private businesses, it's called the free market. When you have private businesses, it urges you to be better, faster, better quality, so you can get the next job. That's how the free market works. That's why we need charter schools. I can go down the line of the problems, but when you have competition and there's money being in money either goes over here or over here, then you have competition, healthy competition. Come to our company, give us your business. We will be there on time and the job will be done fast and of high quality. And then you have the city and then no other competition. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get to it. Yeah, we know. We got you. You understand what I'm saying? If you start getting rid of all the insurance companies and you only have one option, that's what you're going to get. You know about the same thing you get when you go to the License Bureau. Well, you got to go get this. You got to get this signed off of. Well, I thought you were supposed to sign it. No, you got to go to this other building and get it signed and then bring it back here and then I can sign it. Why can't you just sign it now? Oh, no. Restrictions. Gotta do that first. So I gotta go stand in line over at the whatever office after I just waited here for 45 minutes just so I could come up and you could tell me to leave. Yeah, that's what happens when you have state funded this, county funded that, government funded that. A lot of things need to be privatized, including health insurance. I am by no means somebody who doesn't want to see somebody get help who needs it. But I think in California they push the envelope a little bit. You know, they try to get a lot of things added into these things covered by insurance. You know, like that are undeserving of falling into the category of necessity. I'd hate to see the taxpayers paying for um, some chick who wants a bigger booty or something. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not beyond a person to try to do such a thing. But I'll read you this article. I'll read some of it because it just goes on and on and on and on and on. But I'll give you the the bullet points of it. This is from the LA Times. Democrats propose California universal health care funded by new income business taxes. This is by John Myers of the LA Times. Sacramento, California would enact a sweeping first in the nation universal health care plan under a proposal unveiled Thursday by a group of state Democratic lawmakers providing health services to every resident and financed by a broad array of new taxes on individuals and businesses. A broad array of new taxes, a bunch of new taxes. Get a load of this. Though some of the policy details of the ambitious plan were laid out last year, the way to fund it had not been determined. A proposal now laid out in separate pieces of legislation faces significant hurdles in the coming months. First, at the state capitol, with opposition from groups representing doctors and insurance companies, and then possibly at the ballot box, as voters would have to approve the taxes in an amendment to the California Constitution. Quote, there are countless studies that tell a single-payer healthcare system is the fiscally sound thing to do, the smarter healthcare policy to follow, and a moral imperative if we care about human life. Assemblyman Ash Kalra, Democrat, San Jose. The proposals offer St. Thursday. There are countless studies that tell a single-payer healthcare system is the fiscally sound thing to do. Who did the studies? Stalin? Marx? Mao? Those are all socialists if you didn't know. But hey, Google it if you don't believe me. They were definitely socialists. Anyway, efforts to create a single-payer healthcare system in which medical expenses for all residents are covered by a government-run fund. Government-run fund. Say that 10 times fast. Have been widely discussed in California for years. Supporters say the cost of providing care to the state's residents would go down without the administrative expenses of private insurance plans. They also point out the cost incurred by Californians under slimmed-down healthcare plans with high deductibles and copays. Costs they argue, will disappear if California creates a state-run program that blends state and federal dollars. There, this is going to cost billions. And you know how much money California has? Not billions. That's what I hear anyway. Quote, what we're trying to do is get rid of these dozens of buckets of funding, whether it's private insurance, whether it's employer, whether it's Medi-Cal. Put it into one bucket, Carl Russ said. Legislative efforts to push the idea forward have fizzled over recent decades, lacking the broad based political support needed for a historic overhaul of the healthcare system. Cholera's newest effort was quickly criticized by a coalition of powerful political players, including the California Medical Association, the California Hospital Association. They will square off against one of the single payer plan's most vocal advocates, the California Nurses Association, ASSN. I would just write association, but whatever. Assembly Bill 1400 would create, quote, PAL Care, a system governed by an independent board of directors that promises access to any doctor, regardless of network, and a wide variety of medical services. The new entity would push to bring payments to providers more in line with the costs of care and would seek to negotiate lower prices for prescription drugs. The plan includes long term care coverage and services for senior citizens and disabled people and would remove barriers based on a patient's immigration status. That's key right there. They want to be able to pay for the immigrants to stay there. Immigration status doesn't matter. Barriers based on an immigration status. They want that. There are how many people that live in? There's 39 million people that live in California, legal people, U.S. citizens, 39 million. We'll say 40 million Californians. And then there's roughly 7 million immigrants, like, like non-registered immigrants, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, immigrants. So 47, or yeah, 40, about 47 million. 47 million people there? That's a lot of people. That's like, I'd say the most populated state. I believe it is. Thursday's announce Thursday's announcement will undoubtedly set in motion a contentious process, possibly complicated by the politics of it being an election year. Governor Gavin Newsom, who faces re-election in the fall, campaigned for office 4 years ago in part on support for single-payer healthcare system. Yeah, that's no surprise to me. Gavin Newsom leads the charge of the socialist agenda. Quote, it's about access, end quote, Newsom said in a speech at the California Democratic Party convention in 2018. Quote, it's about affordability and it's about time. If these can't do Democrats were in charge, we wouldn't have had Social Security or Medicare, end quote. Yeah, he's a little dramatic. A spokesperson for the governor didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on the new effort, but Kalra, a Bay Area Democrat who has lined up support for a group of Democratic lawmakers, reminded those in attendance at a state capitol event on Thursday of the governor's campaign platform. Quote, doing nothing is not inaction, Kalra said, of political promises that have not produced a plan. Quote, it is, in fact, the cruelest of actions while millions suffer under our watch, end quote. Oh man. See, it's hard to read these quotes of these politicians that say that goofy stuff like that, man. Like we know people are sick. I mean, here's an idea. Here's my idea. How about the ginormous drug companies lower the prices? How about that? How about you make a law that these giant drug manufacturers, just these pharmaceutical companies, lower the prices? That would solve a lot of problems. You don't need to start taxing everybody 1,000,000%. You don't need to start taking houses. You start taxing businesses so they leave your state. They don't make movies in California anymore. They make all the movies in Georgia. Hollywood is not Hollywood. Like Hollywood is in Atlanta because Atlanta doesn't rip their mouths out with taxes. California does. And people are leaving. People are leaving California. But you know who's coming in? Immigrants. Have fun with that. Have fun with it. The plan's proposed tax increase might present the most difficult political hurdle. As a constitutional amendment, it would require a supermajority vote in both state Senate and Assembly, and then ratification by voters in either the June or November statewide election. While Democrats have held a supermajority of seats in both houses for the better part of a decade, they have rarely found enough support within their ranks for a broad-based tax increase. You think? Nobody wants to pay more taxes. The constitutional amendment would impose a new excise tax on businesses equal to 2.3% of any annual gross receipts in excess of $2 million. The new payroll tax would also be created, equal to 1.25% of total annual wages and collected from businesses employing more than 50 people. In addition, payroll tax would be required for employers with workers earning more than $49,900 a year. That's 50 grand, basically. An additional payroll tax. All but the lowest earning Californians would also be required to pay more in taxes. Proposed constitutional amendment would raise personal income taxes on salaries above 150 grand a year. Less for those at the level. More to be paid as income goes up. All Californians reporting an annual taxable income of more than 2.5 million would see a 2.5 surcharge, and personal income tax increases to pay for the health care plan could rise with inflation in future years. Yeah, it will. I'm done with the article. Now I'm going to give you I did some research on this, but I'm not going to go clicking through every specific article. This will be to cover 24-hour emergency, prescriptions, medical devices, mental health, newborn care, dental, no premiums, no deductibles, no copays, just free everything. But is anything free? Is anything free? Is anything free? It is not. You know how this stuff gets paid for? It gets paid for with taxes. It gets paid for with taxes. They're going to jack up the prices or the taxes on everybody. If if they were to take every penny from every Californian, every dollar, I'm not talking about money they make this year. I'm talking about every single penny from every single Californian. They wouldn't have enough to pay for this. They would not. The bonds would go to doo-doo. The California's bonds would turn to doo-doo if they could not pay. If this passes and they cannot pay for it. And if the bonds go to doo-doo, nobody will invest in California. Nobody's going to start a new business there. People already are not starting new businesses there. Gavin Newsom can go all over all these talk shows and talk about how California's we have the highest rated this and the highest rated that. And meanwhile, people are leaving in droves. Big, giant businesses are closing down. They're just refusing to pay anymore. They're just like, you can just have the property, the Hilton, the park, whatever. the Old Navy, the mall in San Francisco, the Weston Mall, I think it was called. You can fact check me on that. I could be wrong. It's something else, but it's something like the Westin. It's the big mall in San Francisco. Like it's been there for years. So what I'm saying is people aren't coming in, people are leaving anyway. Hollywood has moved to Atlanta, more or less. I mean, there's still movies made in Hollywood, obviously. There's still movie lots. But people know if you go to California, you're going to be paying a steep tax. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Guarantee you that, regardless of if this bill passes or not. But this bill is a socialist order. This is the plan. They use California as the beta test for what they can get away with. The goal is for the United States to be a socialist country. The left supports it. They support it. They don't even know what they support. They have there's no 10 commandments for the left. It's not like they have some moral compass. No. They just support anything mainstream media has to say. They just support it. They support whatever the new thing is. They support it. Anything the right says, they go against it. Whatever it is, the right is evil. But this, they will, listen, they will take property, man. That's how they'll do it. First, they'll tax property. They'll tax your stocks and bonds. If you've got bonds, if you have an IRA, they'll tax that. If you have, say, a property over $5 million, that's not insane in California. Have you ever been? Like there's $100 million houses out there and stuff. If you've got a property worth over 5 million, you'll pay some kind of luxury tax annually every year. They'll charge your business annually every year, some state tax. You'll federally have to pay taxes, and then you'll have to pay some bullcrap state tax. Anybody making over 50 grand will be paying some extra tax. They cannot pay for this. They will not pay for this. There's no way. And then what they will do is they will start seizing property. That's how they will pay for this. And if they get away with taking people's property, seizing property, you think they'll stop? Do you think they'll stop? I promise they will not. Then New York will do it. Then Oregon. Then Washington. Then Michigan. Anywhere that the blue are kind of in charge. Because like I said, you see this stuff in Canada. They're crazy up there. They do some crazy stuff up there. You wouldn't believe. Well, I'm going to dig into it. I'm trying to shed a light on these stories that nobody talks about. If you heard somebody talk about this, let me know. Please let me know. Tell me in the comments that you heard this somewhere else, because you didn't. Nobody talks about this stuff. I get it. Other people have more important things to do, and I agree. They're on important issues. All the culture war stuff and all that. I watch all that stuff. They teach me about all of that. But I don't want to get into that. I don't want to talk about what everybody else talks about. I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to shed a light. I'm trying to turn a big spotlight on all these stories that I tell people about and they look at me like I'm insane. Socialist, socialism. You mean the Germans? No, I don't. I mean the Californians. It's what they're doing right now. And if they do this and they can't pay for it, they will seize properties, businesses. They will seize stuff because, oh, you've got way too much. That's how socialism works. You've got too much. It's all about community. That's what, communism. It's all about community. It sounds great. Yeah, here, man, I've got 5 bananas. Here, take one apiece. What if you got 5 Lamborghinis? You gonna go handing out the 4 other ones? Nah. And if you do, then pat yourself on the back. Because I'm not. My goal is to shine a light on issues that nobody else talks about. It's to enlighten 1 million people. And then tomorrow, enlighten 1 million more. This is the change, and I am the unlearned teacher. Thank you.